There is a moment, almost every morning, before the alarm goes off in your bedroom, before the coffee maker begins its slow, gurgling work in your kitchen, before the dog at the foot of your bed has lifted his head to see if it is time yet, when a gray squirrel on a branch outside your bedroom window has already started his day. He has been moving since the first pale hint of light touched the highest twigs of the oak tree above your roof. He has already eaten part of an acorn he cached 3 months ago under a specific root at the base of a maple 2 yards over. He has already checked the rain gauge that he uses to read the night, the small pool of water in a depression of bark near where he sleeps. And he has already, almost certainly, been to your roof and back. You do not know that he was on your roof. You will probably never know. But the squirrel above your bedroom window has, in the years he has lived in the tree closest to your home, walked the entire length of your gutters more times than anyone alive has ever counted. He has checked the loose shingle near the chimney that you have been meaning to fix for 2 summers. He has investigated the small gap in the soffit above your second-floor window. He has, in some real and operational sense, mapped your house from above in a way no contractor you have ever hired has bothered to do. For most of your life, you have probably thought of the gray squirrel as something close to background, a small gray blur in your yard, a nuisance at the bird feeder, a creature whose intelligence does not warrant much attention. Almost none of that is accurate. The squirrel outside your window is, by every careful measure of modern animal cognition research, one of the most cognitively impressive small mammals on this continent. And he has been living a far more sophisticated life above your home than you have ever been told. Welcome back to Wild Mind. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe, because what you are about to learn will change the way you watch the small gray movements in your yard for the rest of your life. Today, we are going to follow one gray squirrel through one ordinary day, from the moment he wakes up in the dark to the moment he settles into his nest at dusk, and we are going to learn what he knows about your house that you have never noticed. Stay until the end. The last thing in this video is one of the most quietly extraordinary facts in all of mammalian cognition research, and almost nobody outside of behavioral ecology has ever heard about it. Let us begin. The morning starts in his nest. A gray squirrel's nest is called a drey, and the one in the tree above your roof is almost certainly more carefully constructed than you would believe. It is a tight woven ball of leaves and twigs and shreds of bark, lined on the inside with softer material the squirrel has gathered from sources across his territory. The drey is waterproof. The drey is insulated. The drey holds heat in winter and shade in summer. The drey has, very likely, been the squirrel's primary residence for years, repaired and added to each season. He may have a second drey somewhere nearby as a backup. Many gray squirrels do. The backup drey is for emergencies. If a predator destroys the primary nest, if a storm shakes a branch too violently, if the tree the primary nest is in begins to fail, the squirrel has another option. This is not an accident. This is planning. The squirrel above your bedroom window is, in some measurable sense, doing real estate management. He has a primary home.
He has a secondary home. He maintains both. He may move between them seasonally. The morning routine begins inside the drey. He stretches. He grooms his tail, which is one of the most important parts of his body, and one that he attends to with remarkable precision. The tail of a gray squirrel is not just an ornament. The tail is a counterweight for his acrobatic movement through trees. The tail is a thermal regulator. The tail is a signal to other squirrels. The tail is, in cold weather, a blanket the squirrel can pull around his body while he sleeps. He grooms it every morning before leaving the drey. The grooming is maintenance. The grooming is also, quite possibly, the same kind of slow, careful waking ritual that you yourself perform before you fully commit to being awake. By the time you have started to stir in your bed, the squirrel has left the drey. He is on a branch outside your window. He is checking conditions. He is reading the weather. He is reading the wind. He is reading the temperature against the soft fur of his belly. He is, in a sense, doing the same thing you will do in a few minutes when you check the weather on your phone before you decide what to wear. And then he begins his rounds. The rounds, the morning circuit of the territory, are the part of squirrel life that almost no human has ever taken seriously. The squirrel above your home has a route. He has had this route with small variations for years. The route includes specific trees, specific branches, specific drinking spots, specific feeding sites. The route is not random foraging. The route is a coordinated, memorized, optimized inspection of the entire territory he holds. Among the stops on his route is almost certainly your roof.
This is the part that almost nobody believes when they first hear it. Squirrels routinely include human structures in their daily inspection routes. The reasons are practical. Your roof has good vantage points, your gutters sometimes hold water, your soffits sometimes hold insects, your eaves sometimes provide shelter from rain, your chimney is warm in winter, the siding of your home, particularly if it has any vines, provides additional climbing surfaces and small hiding places. A gray squirrel who lives in a tree near your home has walked the length of your roof more often than you have. He knows the loose shingle. He knows the place where the gutter sags. He knows which downspout has a small acorn lodged in it from 3 falls ago. He knows the temperature of the south-facing wall at different times of day. He knows, in a way that you would find unnerving if you saw it written down, the structural inventory of your home as a piece of climbable terrain. You have heard him, possibly. The scratching sounds from the attic at 4 in the morning that you have always assumed were nothing, or were a mouse, or were the house settling, were almost certainly him. He was checking. He was not nesting there usually, but he was checking. He has been checking for years. He has been checking before you bought the house possibly, and through the time you raised your children there, and through the time the children grew up and moved out, and he is still checking now. By the time you are pouring your first coffee, the squirrel has begun the real work of the day. He is foraging, and the foraging is one of the most cognitively demanding activities any small mammal undertakes. The popular image of a squirrel finding nuts is wrong in almost every interesting way.
Squirrels do not just find nuts. Squirrels store nuts in vast quantities in dozens or hundreds of individual locations across their territories. The behavior is called scatter-hoarding. A single gray squirrel may bury several thousand nuts in a single autumn. Each cache is buried separately, in a separate small hole, often only an inch or 2 deep. The caches are spread across the entire territory. Some are buried in flower beds, some are buried in lawns. Some are buried in the soft soil at the base of trees. Some are buried in places he has remembered to use repeatedly across years. And here is the part that startles people who hear it for the first time. He remembers them. Not all of them. Some get lost. Some get stolen by other squirrels or by birds. Some grow into trees, which is in fact one of the most important contributions squirrels make to the forests of North America. But a remarkable percentage of his caches he remembers. Research conducted at the University of California, Berkeley, by Dr. Lucia Jacobs and her colleagues, has shown that gray squirrels use both spatial memory and chunking strategies, similar to the way humans organize a large list of items into smaller, manageable categories to keep track of their cache locations. He categorizes his nuts before he buries them. He groups them by type. He buries acorns in certain areas, and walnuts in others, and hickory nuts in still others. The categorization helps him remember. The system is not random. The system is, by every modern measure of animal cognition, a working organizational strategy, comparable to how a person might organize a pantry. The squirrel in your yard has somewhere in the small, dense neural geography of his brain a working map of hundreds of buried food locations. He updates the map throughout the day as he buries new caches. He visits the map throughout the year as he digs them up. He is, in some literal and unromantic sense, doing memory work that no human untrained for the task could perform without writing notes. And here is what I want you to take a breath for. Look at your yard if you can see it from where you are sitting right now. Wherever the squirrels move, the ground is full of buried caches you cannot see. We are going deeper now. By mid-morning, the squirrel is doing something that for centuries has been completely misunderstood. He is fooling other squirrels. Gray squirrels engage in a behavior researchers call deceptive caching. When the squirrel knows he is being watched by another squirrel, particularly one who might steal his caches, he performs the motions of burying a nut without actually burying it. He digs the hole, he puts his head down, he pats the dirt, and then he carries the nut to a different location where he is not being observed and buries it there. This is not a small thing. This is, in the language of comparative cognition, theory of mind. The squirrel is modeling what another squirrel can see, can know, can remember. The squirrel is, in some real and measurable sense, thinking about what another mind is thinking. Researchers studying this behavior have demonstrated it across multiple controlled experiments. The fake burials happen far more often when the squirrel is being observed. They happen far less often when he is alone. He is calibrating his deception to his audience. The squirrel above your bedroom window, The small gray blur you walk past on your way to the mailbox is engaging in deliberate strategic deception of other minds.
This is one of the cognitive capacities researchers used to insist was unique to humans and a small handful of great apes. The squirrel has it too. He has been deploying it in your yard for as long as he has lived there. If you have ever watched a squirrel seem to bury something and then run away, and then later come back and dig in a completely different spot, you were not imagining things. You were watching a small mammal employ one of the most cognitively sophisticated behaviors in his species, and almost nobody has ever told you what you were looking at. By midday, the squirrel has moved into a different kind of activity. He is watching. He is, perhaps surprisingly, watching you. Gray squirrels who live near houses develop detailed working knowledge of the humans in those houses. They know which homes have aggressive dogs and which do not. They know which yards have bird feeders that get refilled regularly. They know which windows tend to open in the morning and which do not. They know which people stand still and which people lunge. They have, in some real operational sense, ranked the humans in their territory by predictability and threat level. If you have lived in your home for several years, the squirrels around your property almost certainly know you specifically. They know your gait, they know your voice, they know how close they can be to you before you cross some invisible line they have learned. There are documented cases of squirrels approaching specific homeowners who have shown patience and tolerance, while continuing to flee at the sight of other people they have categorized as unpredictable. The squirrel above your window may seem skittish to you because he flees when you come outside, but he does not flee for the same reason every time.
He flees because he has learned. He flees because the calculation, on this particular day, is that you might do something he cannot predict. On other days, with other postures from you, he stays closer, he watches. He has decided that you are, on the whole, a manageable element of his daily environment. He has known you for a long time. He has been watching you for a long time, and you have probably never noticed him doing it. By the long afternoon, the squirrel is engaged in another behavior almost nobody understands. He is communicating with other squirrels. The vocal and visual signaling system of gray squirrels is more complex than the typical homeowner realizes. They use a variety of distinct calls, a high-pitched chatter for one kind of alarm, a lower cuck sound for another, a long extended whine for yet another category of warning. The tail movements are equally meaningful. A tail flicked rapidly side to side means one thing. A tail held straight up and bristled means another. A tail wrapped around the body in a slow gesture means something else. Researchers studying squirrel communication have categorized dozens of distinct signals. The system is not language in the way human language is, but it is also not a small, simple set of generic noises. It is a working communication system that allows squirrels in adjacent territories to coordinate, to warn each other about specific predators, to defend caches, and to negotiate the small daily diplomacy of overlapping squirrel lives. When you hear the squirrels in your yard chatter and chase each other across the lawn, you are watching diplomacy, you are watching grievance, you are watching alliance.
You are watching, in the small gray movement on your fence, a society negotiating its membership in real time, and almost nobody has ever sat down and bothered to translate it. By dusk, the squirrel has returned to the area around his drey. He has cached the last of the day's findings. He has performed his evening grooming. He has checked the conditions one more time. The temperature is dropping. The light is fading. He is preparing to enter the drey for the night. If he is part of a pair, his mate may be nearby. Gray squirrels do not always form long pair bonds the way some other mammals do, but during breeding seasons and during periods of harsh weather, squirrels will sometimes share a drey, particularly females with offspring. The drey may contain her or her young, or sometimes a male partner depending on the season and the squirrel's life stage. And here is the part almost nobody has ever heard. A squirrel remembers a buried nut from years ago. The research on this is now extensive. Gray squirrels have demonstrated in carefully controlled experiments the ability to recover specific cached food items long after they were buried. Not just from a few weeks ago, not just from a few months ago, from years. There are documented cases of marked squirrels in long-term field studies recovering specific caches that had been in the ground for periods of time that surprise even the researchers who study them. The implications are quietly staggering. The squirrel above your bedroom window, the one you have probably not given more than a passing glance to in the years he has lived there, is operating with a long-term spatial memory that, in its own way, rivals the working geographic memory of an experienced hiker who has walked a single piece of country for decades. He knows the buried nuts under your rose bushes. He knows the buried walnuts at the base of the maple 2 yards over. He knows the acorn he cached under a flat stone near the back fence in the autumn of 3 years ago. The memory is not vague. The memory is precise. If you have ever wondered why a squirrel will suddenly stop and dig in a specific spot in your yard for no reason you can see, you have wondered the right thing. He is not guessing. He is not searching randomly. He is collecting something he buried, possibly a long time ago. He has known where it was the entire time. He has carried the location of that buried nut in his head through winters and summers and storms and years until the moment came when he wanted it back. That is not a small thing. That is one of the most extraordinary feats of mammalian memory documented anywhere outside of human beings. And it has been happening in the yards of every house in North America for as long as squirrels have lived alongside us. And almost nobody has ever bothered to tell anyone what was actually going on out there. The squirrel above your bedroom window has, almost certainly, dug up nuts in your yard this week that he buried before you knew his face. He has memories of your property that go back further than your memory of him. He has been a small gray mind full of geography for as long as he has been your neighbor. When you wake up tomorrow morning, look out the window if you can see the tree closest to your bedroom. You may see him, you may not, but he is there. He has been there. He has known your house, in some operational sense, longer than you have.
And the small gray movement at the edge of your roof, the one you have walked past for years, is the daily evidence of a mind working in front of you that almost nobody has ever taught you to recognize. If you have a squirrel who lives in the tree near your home, if you have ever watched one bury something and dig something up and wondered how he remembered, tell me about him in the comments. Tell me what you have seen. Tell me about the small gray lives that have been unfolding in your yard for years while you weren't paying attention. I read every single one, and these are the stories I carry the longest. If this video changed the way you see the squirrel at the edge of your roof, share it with someone who calls them pests. Share it with someone who has been told their whole life that squirrels are stupid. The squirrels deserve to be seen for what they actually are. And if you are new here, subscribe, because every week we go deeper into the inner lives of the wild animals of this continent. The crows who know your face, the hawks who watch you from above, the owls who hear what you cannot hear, the foxes who know your face, the deer who grieve, the bears who remember faces. The country you live in is full of creatures whose interior worlds are richer than you were ever told. We are going to learn them together, one animal at a time. I'll see you in the next one. Wild Mind.